Hello, this is how to install Windows XP in a QEMU virtual machine using virt.io disk and network interface card. We're going to use the newest possible release of Windows XP, 64-bit, Service Pack 2. Let's start the virtualization software. I'm using Virtual Machine Manager, virt-manager. I'm on a Linux operating system, Ubuntu 2504. File, new virtual machine, ISO, browse. It doesn't support Windows XP, this version of virt-manager. Let's try with the oldest possible operating system from here. Let's make this 4 gigabytes. So that's 9 and 6. CPUs, vcpus 4. 100 gigabytes. Windows XP customize. So we want the oldest possible motherboard, Intel 440. Just one CPU socket and 4 cores. The disk should be IDE. The CD-ROM should be IDE. Network interface card can be Intel 1000 or RTL 8139. But we'll go with the faster one, which is Intel 1000. Begin installation. If everything works okay, the steps will be this. And we're taking inspiration from the Proxmox wiki. The page looks like this. It says that in order to install Windows XP using QEMU and virt, we're first going to install Windows XP the way it's intended, which is IDE disk, IDE DVD drive, and network interface card RTL 8139 or Intel 1000. They're supported out of the box by Windows XP. Then finish installing Windows XP. Make sure you have internet access. And then we're going to download the virt.io ISO file, add it to the virtual machine. And we're also going to add to the virtual machine a network interface card of type virt.io, so a second network interface card. Then a SSD, a virt.io disk, so a second disk. We're going to reboot the computer. Windows will say that it doesn't recognize the two new added hardware, which is a new network interface card, the virt.io one, and the virt.io disk. We're going to use the virt.io ISO to get Windows XP drivers from there for network interface card and virt.io disk. After that's done, we're going to shut down the machine. We're going to remove the non-virt.io network interface card. We're going to remove both disks, but we're going to keep the qcow2 of the IDE hard disk. Then we're going to create a new virt.io disk, which uses the already existing qcow2 file from the IDE hard disk. Then we're going to start Windows XP. Everything should work okay from that on. We should have the latest version of Windows XP running correctly and using the fastest possible disk, which is virt.io, and the fastest possible network interface card, which is also virt.io. And from then on, you just use Windows XP as you would, you would install a recent enough web browser, enable remote desktop protocol server, etc. Okay. So let's see what it says. Set up Windows now, press enter. EULA, page down, next page, or just F8 to agree. Unpartitioned space MBR partition table, enter to install. Format the partition using NTFS quick, enter. So I couldn't use neither the newer motherboard Q35 I couldn't use SATA neither for storage, but also not for the CD-ROM. We're going with what we know works, which is IDE. Okay, first reboot. Let's see if the virtio is, if the CD-ROM is empty or not. It is empty. Which is not that great. Okay, I have re-added the ISO file to the virtual machine. It is continuing to install. virt-manager will offer this feature where after the OS installer reboots the first time, automatically removes the ISO from the DVD-ROM drive. This is a good thing for most operating systems, but not that great for older operating systems. United States, name and organization. Okay, let's prepare a product key, a license key. Okay, next up, computer name WinXP, the same as the name of the virtual machine. Administrator password, confirm password. Time zone. Eastern. Next. Typical settings. Work group. This is the reboot number 2. This time it seems to have booted from the IDE disk, not from CD-ROM. And the USB tablet fortunately works correctly. The mouse can exit the grab. Okay, let's see. So we're connecting to the graphical user session for the first time. Let's see what we did here. Click on this balloon. Try to correct. Keep. Okay. So let's see where we are. We have installed Windows XP correctly. We have installed the OS. Let's look a bit around. Computer properties. Let's enable the remote desktop protocol server. Administrator already has access. It's a virtual machine. I do not need the advanced firewall. How do we search for it? There's no search in Windows Start menu in Windows XP. Firewall on. Windows firewall off. Okay. Let's see if we can directly connect to the computer. So the IPv4 address ends with 62. I'm going to use a remote desktop protocol client. This is my wiki page, xrdp, the end of the page. So we want a command line like this one, but we don't really need sound forwarding. And the IPv4 address should end in 62. And it does work. Okay, this will allow us to change the resolution inside Windows XP. We actually want to use a fixed, not a dynamic resolution, so not this command line parameter. And we want to guess the perfect resolution from the start. So we want width 1920, that's okay. But then height, we need to leave some space for the KD Plasma main panel and for the title bar of the pre-RDP window. So that would be, I don't know, 980. We could go even a bit more height. Okay, so this is the step. Next up, we want to add the VirtIO hardware and reboot the machine and install the drivers for the VirtIO hardware. Let's see how we shut down the computer. From the remote desktop session, there's no buttons for shutting down the machine in the Windows Start menu, so we're going to use the command line shutdown. So shutdown /s shuts down and then time 1. Okay. So we need to add more hardware. Let's see what. So a VirtIO hard disk 20 gigabytes. We already have a disk, we need a second one. That's storage, 20 gigabytes, virtIO, create a disk, finish. Next up, virtIO network interface card, add hardware, network, virtIO, finish. And we also need a second CD-ROM drive. Or we could put in here the virtIO ISO. Let's create a second IDE CD-ROM. So we want storage, we want IDE, CD-ROM, and we want the virtIO ISO. So software that does support Windows XP, if that software had a release in the year 2014, before the end of life of Windows XP, which was April 2014. That's what we need to choose. So if we want to install Firefox, we will need to find the Firefox version that still supports Windows XP. So Firefox version that was released before April 2014. If we want an ISO for virtIO, the same thing. We want the one that was released before April 2014. We sort by last modified. The one that was released before April 2014 is this one. From November 2013, virtIO win 0.1-65. I have downloaded this ISO. And it's this one, 0.165. I have added to the name of the ISO file the text final virtIO for Windows XP. So I have added this text to make it obvious that this ISO I have downloaded just for Windows XP machines. Okay, so let's review the machine. In the first CD-ROM drive, we have the Windows XP installer. In the second, we have virtIO. In the first IDE disk, we have the installation of Windows XP. On the virtIO disk, we don't have anything, and we will not put anything. This is hardware that's added to the virtual machine, just that Windows XP finds it and asks that we install virtIO drivers for disk. That's the only reason why we have added this hard piece virtIO disk. And then the first network interface card, Intel 1000, already configured correctly. The second one, virtIO, Windows is going to find it and ask that we find correct VirtIO drivers for the network interface card. At this point, we can look at boot options. Should boot just from IDE disk 1, correct? Start. Let's look inside Windows Explorer to see that we have both drives. So the D is the CD-ROM with the Windows XP installer. E is virtIO. Let's see what it found. I'm not sure if Windows Update still provides Windows updates, Windows Service Packs, kernel modules, drivers, etc. for Windows XP, so for the end-of-life versions of Windows. So it has actually found the virtIO network interface card. What is this one? So this is the virtIO disk. I want to include the location. Let's see if like this it works. Continue. So I just kept the default settings. Wow. Blue screen of death. Maybe didn't identify the correct driver for Windows XP. Let's find the drivers ourselves. Which is this one? Hardware, device manager. So this is the virtIO disk, update driver. Next. I will choose the driver to install. Next. Have disk. So it should look for E. Okay. Let's try one more time. So E, Windows XP. Nope. Just XP, no, not WXP, but just XP. AMD 64, Net KVM. virtIO Ethernet adapter. Finish. And the storage SCSI controller, right click, update driver. Not this time. Specify specific location. I will choose the driver to install. Have disk. Browse. E. XP AMD 64 WXP so we want E, but then there's this thing where the Windows XP 64-bit and Windows Server 2003 have the same kernel mode. And in this case, WNet is actually Windows Server 2003, so we need to choose WNet and AMD 64 and the VO Store or SCSI. I don't know. Okay. What about the others? I'm not even going to try for the rest. Okay. Let's see if the disk manager found the hardware. So let's go to the control panel, network interface cards. Where was that? So there's two network interface cards. One is of type Red Hat virt-io, the other one is of type Intel 1000. Both are connected using DHCP IPv4. Okay. And the storage, right click on my computer, properties, and we want the disk manager. Next up, we'll remove the not needed, not virt-io hardware. So let's shut down the computer. Okay. And let's see what we have here. The virt-io disk, 20 gigabytes, we don't need it, so we can remove it. And associated storage. Network interface card will keep the virt-io one, will delete the other. And the IDE disk will transform it in virt-io. So first remove. Make sure you keep the associated storage. So the file named winxp.qcow2. Make sure the delete associated storage files checkbox is not checked. And add hardware, storage, type virt-io, disk device, select a storage, manage, default, Windows XP qcow2, choose volume. So we're reusing the same qcow2 file that was behind the IDE hard disk where we have installed Windows XP, but this time we're using bus type virt-io. Okay, it looks okay. Let's look at boot order. Should boot just from virt-io disk 1. Hopefully this works. Okay, so we have booted from the virt-io SSD. Still, Windows XP wants to add drivers for the drive it booted from. Not this time. Next. Specific location. Next. I will choose next. Red Hat virtio SCSI controller. Next. Continue anyway. Finish. Let's look again at the device manager. It's what we expected. It knows about virtio storage and about virtio network interface cards. Do you want to restart the computer now? Yes. Restarting was really fast. And hopefully this is it. This is a good time to create a backup of the virtual machine. So let's do that. Let's shut down the computer, turn off computer. The Manage VM Snapshots button in the main toolbar. After install. And we're going to, I'm always creating snapshots inside the qcow2 file. So snapshot mode is always internal for my virtual machines. Finish. Okay, now we can start the virtual machine. We can even remove the XP installer. Let's see, the network interface card has a different IPv4 address, one ending with 109. Let's connect using that. Okay, let's make the height a bit larger. 1000. One 192, 168, 122, 109. Okay, maybe the firewall has reactivated itself. From the control panel, security center, firewall is off. That's okay. Windows Explorer, my computer properties, remote RDP server is enabled. The third time was better. It has logged off the user at the physical console, so at the virtualization softwares, console graphical spice console. And now the user is connected just via the remote desktop protocol client, which is called FreeRDP. Okay, so we have the resolution that we want. We can start customizing the operating system. First of all, we'll need a web browser. I'm trying to see if using the web browsers that are available out of the box in Windows XP, I can install a recent enough web browser such that modern websites such as google.com work correctly. Okay, so fortunately for us, the newest version of Firefox that did still support Windows XP, which is Firefox 52.9 ESR, is served not only via HTTPS protocol, which doesn't work in Internet Explorer, but also via the HTTP protocol. This is still an old version of a web browser. I'm not sure if these Firefox 52.9 ESR web browser supports the newest HTTPS encryption protocols and SSL TLS protocols and etc. So the modern cryptography that's required by modern websites, most 99% of the modern websites use HTTPS and modern cryptography. So what happened to the Windows XP installer? Okay, close, double click. Open. So the setup refuses to run. Which version is this, 32-bit or 64-bit? Win32. So I needed to use the SHA-1 version of the installer. Probably this is related to the digital signature. So if you go properties on the file, digital signatures, where is it? Applications used to be signed with SHA-1, but now they're signed with both SHA-1 and SHA-256 or something. Who knows what's actually the problem? But in this case, the 32-bit version of Firefox 52.9 ESR, but signed with SHA-1, Windows Digital Signature seems to start correctly. Standard, default web browser, finish. Don't import anything. And we got somewhere. Okay. Let's see if copy pasting works of text between the host and the guest. And it does work. So we have switched from the protocol HTTPS to HTTP. We have switched from Win32 to Win32 minus SHA1. Okay, and now we have a web browser. Let's see the rest of the applications that we actually install. Okay, so let's see if 7-zip works. 7-zip, 64-bit, save, run, install, and that's it. Great. Let's copy paste the command line. So we managed to install a web browser and 7-zip without transferring files from the host machine towards the virtual machine, for instance, using the RDP protocol. We were fortunate enough that Internet Explorer was available out of the box in the Windows XP install, and that Mozilla still offers the HTTP protocol for the downloads server. Let's see if we have Service Pack 2. Yes, we do. Service Pack 2. What else could we install here? So the latest Service Pack of Windows XP is also the latest Service Pack of Windows Server 2003 because it's the same kernel mode. Okay. There's also this effort going on, which is mypal-browser.org, which says that it's a way more recent version of the Mozilla Firefox source code compiled to run correctly on Windows XP. So they have Mozilla Firefox 74.1.1, whereas we're now using Firefox 52.9 ESR. System unsupported. Yes, because it tried to install the latest version of Firefox. So Firefox, don't try to install updates. Okay, and instead of Windows Explorer, I always use a better graphical user interface file manager, a twin pane one, an orthodox file manager, in my case, Total Commander. If so, Total Commander is shareware. If I'm not allowed to install Total Commander, then I will use Double Commander, which is a similar product but not as great. The web browser is really, really bad. The Google experience is disastrous. So we will try to install the web browser MyPal browser. But first, let's install Total Commander. So we want the latest version. Download page. 64-bit only. Still supports Windows XP out of the box. Run. No other languages. Correct install directory. I don't want a shortcut on the desktop. All users. Okay. How did we do it back then? Toolbars, quick launch. I don't need the show desktop. Total Commander. 3. Show button bars. show hidden files, so show system files, operation, left mouse button, quick search, letter only. Okay. How do we pin this thing? Drag and drop it to the quick launch. Okay, Internet Explorer totally does not work. Doesn't really support HTTPS, so we'll remove it from the quick launch. Now we have a quick way of opening Total Commander. We don't need Windows Explorer any longer. So let's see if we manage to install this web browser. Download MyPal or from GitHub. 74.1.1. GitHub looks really not okay in this version of Firefox. Probably the assets doesn't work at all, the collapser. I'm not sure why it's offering 68.14 when there's 74.1.1 in GitHub. We should prefer the 32-bit version one. The download speed is incredibly small, but copy-paste of text works via the RDP connection. So I have just pasted from the host the full URL towards one of the MyPal 74 releases. Let's hope I have downloaded the correct file. We have 7-zip available, so we can extract files. Let's see if it works. Okay, sound looks familiar. Let me customize it a bit. Okay, let me do some settings. Where are those options? Tabs, blank page, download, always ask, suggestions. Okay, looks okay. Let's try to navigate to the MyPal GitHub page using this new web browser. Okay, AeroSnap does not work on Windows XP, so you cannot easily make a window take the left half of the screen. you need to actually resize the window by the window decoration. Okay, so the newest version of Firefox ESR that still works on Windows XP is not acceptable at all, but my pal looks and behaves way better. I forget to click on Windows before using the mouse wheel to scroll. So if you just scroll, it will not work because you're not above the active window. So you need to click on the window and then scroll. Click, scroll. Yeah, huge difference between the two web browsers. Okay, so that covers about everything. How you install Windows XP on QEMU. We just did it the easy way first with using the IDE hard disk, IDE CD-ROM, and Intel 1000 network interface card. Then we have converted the QEMU KVM virtual machine to use the best possible hardware, which is virtio disk and virtio network interface card. And then we've installed the minimum minimorum software. We've enabled the remote desktop protocol server. We have disabled the firewall. This allows us to connect to the virtual machine using any remote desktop protocol client, such as FreeRDP in my case, because I'm using the Linux operating system. This allows me to change the resolution any way I want, which from inside Windows XP you can't really change the resolution to something arbitrary. And then it also provided copy-paste of text, which actually allows you to, for instance, you can change the resolution of the RDP connection to be just the left half of the screen. So that would be 9.6. And then you can use the web browser as you want in the right half of the screen. So there, at that point, there's just no reason to use a web browser inside the virtual machine Windows XP. You can just use your normal web browser that you always use in the host machine, on the machine that hosts the virtual machine and the virtualization software. And when you need to copy paste a URL or text from the virtual machine towards the host or vice versa, you can just do that because you're using the remote desktop protocol, and that supports copy pasting of text. So very advantageous to be able to connect to a virtual machine and change the resolution to the pixel that you want, and then to have copy paste of text work. So this is it. Thank you.